What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So for today's horror news update, we have a bit of a lengthy one here. As you can see just from the headline and the topic, I'm going to try and keep this as concise as possible. We're not going to read this line by line. We are going to jump into the sections, give our thoughts, give our opinions, and even raise some questions I've had since this series was announced that just still does not make sense to me, based off the second film in the franchise, Aliens. I'm sure many of you have seen that film. It was the 1986 sequel for Alien, which was it was directed by James Cameron. It was more of an action film, sci-fi horror action film than it was sci-fi horror like the original film. There's things that happen in that film, things that are said that just, when you think about that's supposed to be happening before that film, it doesn't make sense from a storyline perspective. And unless they're going to somehow address that in this series that's coming to Hulu, it just feels like a huge misstep, a huge gap in how you would tell a story. But again, that's just my opinions. I could be completely wrong on this one, but like I said, we're going to jump into these sections, but again, we're not going to go line by line on this. So if we start, as you see here, everything we know about Alien Earth, the Alien TV series, is setting the lead, whether or not Ripley and Weyland-Yutani are on the show. Here's everything we know about the Alien TV series. So let's go. Like I said, we're just going to go through this as quickly as we possibly can, but I will read some of it to give us some context, right? So director Fede Alvarez recently brought us a new installment in the Alien franchise with his movie Alien Romulus, but we already have another new Alien project to look forward to. Fargo TV series creator Noah Hawley has been developing an Alien TV series for FX on Hulu for the last couple of years, and below you'll find everything we know about the Alien TV series. So let's start going through here. So we will cover off on the setting a little bit, but again, I'm not going to read all of this here. I will put the link of this article in the description of this video, so if you want to check out every specific line-by-line detail, you'll have the link to go do so. All right, so one of the first things we heard about the Alien series, and one of the most surprising things about it, is that it will actually be set on Earth a couple decades before the events of the first movie. FX chairman John Landgraf has said the show will take place, quote, right near the end of this century, and a late 2090 setting would place this between the prequel films Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Hawley decided to set the show on Earth because the alien stories are always trapped in a prison, trapped in a spaceship. I thought it would be interesting to open it up a little bit so that the stakes of what happens if you can't contain it are more immediate. The setting is reflected in the title of the show, as Landgraf revealed. It's called Alien Earth. All right, so we're going to pause here for a second. This makes zero sense to me, and I'll explain why. We'll probably end up touching on this point as we continue to go through these details. So it's clearly saying that this is happening before the first film. It's happening between the prequel films Prometheus and Alien Covenant. If you've seen the film Aliens, the one I've already mentioned, the 86 sequel to the original, one of the purposes of that film, or at least not the primary purpose, but one of the, I guess, side stories was one Ripley is found. The ship she was in is found, all these decades later. She's on this space station that is orbiting Earth, and Burke, who is played by Paul Reiser, if you all don't know the film, he works for the company, so to speak, right? So he goes on the mission with them back to the colony to see, what's going on with the colony, and we find the aliens have, killed everybody, have the face huggers have impregnated, have developed all these xenomorphs, and now they're just all there. There's no humans left. The point of Burke, Paul Reiser's character, getting there and going there, if you remember, he tried to get a face hugger to attach to Ripley and Newt, get them impregnated, and then when they go into cryosleep back home, back to the station or back to Earth, him or the company would have a specimen, right, of the xenomorph, and they Ripley finds this out and calls Burke out, and then Burke obviously ends up getting killed by a Xenomorph. But the whole point was that we can't allow this to get back to Earth. If it gets back to Earth, it gets on Earth, it's going to destroy humankind. Here we are now. We have a TV series called Alien Earth that's happening before the original film, before that sequel, and the Xenomorphs are going to be on Earth already. If that has already happened, you would think someone like Burke, who works for the company, would have known that already took place. Would have known that aliens have already been there. You would think that the company would already have specimens of a Xenomorph or a face hugger or what have you, right? So we're gonna pass over all this. It's just more fluff about Hollywood Reporter and all this. So we're not gonna touch on that. So jumping right down to the next section, no Ripley. Alien franchise heroine Ellen Ripley, who has played by Sigourney Weaver in the first 4 movies, will not be a part of the show. Good. She shouldn't be a part of the show. If this is happening between Prometheus and Alien Covenant, she wouldn't be around anyways. And as it says here, and not just because Ripley would be a small child in the 2090s, Halley never considered putting Ripley in the show because he feels her story has been wrapped up. I agree. I think her story wrapped up in Alien 3. Never should have been part of Alien 4. Alien 4 should have been something completely new, something completely different, but it wasn't. They brought her back again. Alien 3, I felt, was the perfect send-off for her, and I'm a fan of Alien 3. I know a lot of people aren't, but I, for one, am. I feel like her story was wrapped up there. So happy to see that they're not bringing her back in any way, shape, or form for this film. I'm sure they might. Who knows? Probably in the last episode, they might reference her somehow, or whether it's a time jump or something. I wouldn't be surprised, but hopefully, fingers crossed, that they're not going to. So Weyland-Yutani, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, has been a villain lurking in the background throughout the franchise, occasionally emerging more into the foreground in some installments, and Landgraf has confirmed that there will be references to Weyland-Yutani in the Alien TV series. I would understand that. I could see that. Whether or not it plays a predominant role throughout, like, again, Burke played, Paul Reiser's character did in Aliens, we'll find out, obviously, when the TV series comes out. I'd imagine there's going to be people part of Weyland-Yutani that will be essential to the story, or the company will have a potentially an essential part of the story. But as far as up in your face in the forefront, I hope that's not the case. Again, I want to see something fresh and new. So we'll see. Scripts were all completed before production. That's surprising. Typically, that wouldn't happen. We would have the scripts for a few done, and then they would maybe make some adjustments as they go. So it says here, neither Landgraf or Halley have ever confirmed how many episodes the first season of Alien will have, but back in August of 2022, Landgraf did tell Deadline that Halley had already delivered all of the scripts for the show, with many shows scripts are still being written while episodes are being filmed, as I just mentioned, but that wasn't the case with this one. So the writer's strike didn't hold up the progress on Alien Earth at all. The actor's strike, on the other hand, did cause a bit of trouble. So while they didn't have an issue with one, they had an issue with the other. But as long as the scripts were done, I guess that's pretty essential. Once you have those dialed in, greenlit, they're done, we're not making any changes. And then you can just film when you can film. And as it states here, the actor's strike did have an impact on filming, but obviously it wasn't that great of an impact now that everything's back in order. Happy all the scripts are done. We're not going to see any rewrites. We're not going to see any changes. It sounds like, again, what's already there is there. The cast, I'm not going to read through all this. If you want to know who's who's casted throughout the shows, you can see here. This is a pretty lengthy synopsis here. Again, I'll put the article of this in the description of this video below. However, Sigourney Weaver's not coming back, which again is key. We'll have fresh faces in this for this series. I'm just interested in knowing when we will find out how many episodes this is going to be. Filming took place in Thailand and was complicated by the saga after strike, which we just briefly talked about. The scripts were done, the writer strike didn't impact it, but obviously the actor strike did have an impact. So we'll touch on this a little bit here. Variety revealed that Alien would be filming in Thailand. They heard this is a large-scale undertaking that's reportedly booked out multiple Bangkok studios and hired vast quantities of lighting equipment. Unfortunately, they went into production right as the U.S. Actors Union, SAG, went on strike. The cast is a mix of SAG-AFTRA and equity members, and 2 of the main leads, including Sydney Chandler, are SAG members. This means they couldn't report to set during the strike, so production had to work around their absence. I get that's good. I say that's good not because they went on strike and not because of what was happening during the actors' strike. Good that there was a way that they could still move production along in other aspects while they work out the details of the strike and come to an agreement and a conclusion. That way it doesn't hold things up any longer, and then once those actors and actresses can come on set and start doing their roles, they can just focus on filming those missing pieces, edit it, put it all together for the final product. So I'm glad to see they didn't just halt production altogether. Blend of horror and action. Landgraf has said that Halley's approach to the Alien TV series is to be faithful to the ideas and styles of both Ridley Scott's Alien and James Cameron's Aliens. He'll be bringing his own ideas to the table, extending and reinventing the franchise. But at the same time, the aim is to make this show a blend of the timeless horror of the first Alien film with the nonstop action of the second. I'm all for that because I, for one, enjoy Aliens. I know Aliens isn't for everybody because of how different it was from the first film. The first film was very much horror sci-fi, very much edge of your seat, intense, almost like a mystery of what's going to happen next because you don't know what's around the corner. And Aliens was more of a, hey, once we know that there's aliens here, everyone has, their guns, everyone has their rocket launchers, it's just a battle, right? I think that's what I enjoyed about Aliens over Alien, because it was just more of that action to a horror film. Now that we're going to get a blend of both and something somewhat new with their own stamp on it for a TV series, that's good. I caution, though, that they're saying we're going to get this. Let's just say this is 8 episodes. Don't give me, 5-6 episodes of nothing but story and then expecting action, and then all of a sudden you just give me 10 minutes of action and say, hey, that's the action, that's the callback for Aliens, James Cameron's style, right? I think that's going to be a huge disappointment. Playing with Xenomorph lifecycle. During a recent panel at the Austin Film Festival, as reported by /Film, Halley hinted that he's going to be shaking up some of the familiar elements of the Alien franchise, including finding a way to play with the Xenomorph life cycle. He said the structure of the Alien films always mimics the life cycle of the creature, right? Which is egg, slow, facehugger starts to get faster. You know what I mean. And of course, that's great for a horror movie to build that way. So I found a way to kind of innovate around that structure and play with it. I think you gotta be careful there because I think your hardcore fans aren't gonna want to see you play around with that a bit too much. I'm all for, again, putting your own stamp on things, having your own process, but if you start reinventing something that fans love to see, whether that's the face hugger and how it impregnates its host and then how the alien comes about, the xenomorph comes about, if you start changing that life cycle completely, I think some of your hardcore fans aren't going to be so willing to go along with that, right? I think when you grow accustomed to that, for some fans, that's what you expect to see from its origins perspective. So that's going to be interesting to see how he changes or adapts that life cycle. Footage. The first footage from Alien Earth dropped online in a video Disney. We know about this as far as the footage. We got a recent... just on the back of this here, which you have these 2 links here for that footage where we see this face hugger jumping around, going down these hallways in the spaceship, and you see the spaceship now going towards Earth, going through the atmosphere, starting to burn up a bit, like it's going to crash. My issue with that is if it's going to crash, then we're assuming at least one of these face huggers survives this catastrophic crash of the ship on Earth, which you would think if it's starting to burn up through the atmosphere of Earth, it makes it through, or however much of it makes its way through, crashes, you would think there'd be some level of explosions, fire, destruction. How exactly are some of these xenomorphs, even one of them, going to survive that? But they obviously do. multiple seasons. Hallie has confirmed that FX is looking for this show to be a recurring series, but not a limited series. I think that's just going to depend on how the first series goes. Like any show, if it's successful, they'll continue. If it's not successful, I can see this being a one and done, which is fine. We know Ridley Scott's claims dominance over this. We know how invested he is to the franchise overall, and he serves as an executive producer on the Alien series through his Scott-free banner. But that doesn't, as you can see here, but that doesn't mean he has many expectations that the show will be able to surpass the quality of the original film. Which I think your hardcore fans are always going to hold. That's the end of the article. Are always going to hold true to that first film, and so many people aren't for sequels. And I think here, once we got to Alien 3, for many people, they were already done with the franchise. They didn't enjoy Alien 3. And many people don't even enjoy Aliens because they feel it went too far left from the original. When you think horror science fiction, it went too far left to horror action and kind of lost its way more into action than it did horror. I like it just simply for the fact of it feels like an action film with horror in it. It's a popcorn film to me. And the first film will always be one of those foundational, staple horror science fiction films that I think it's always going to be hard to surpass with any sequel or any TV franchise. Now, I do enjoy Prometheus. I did not enjoy Alien Covenant. Prometheus, it took me a while to enjoy. I saw it in theaters, didn't like it at all. Didn't see it again for a couple years, and then the more I watched it, the more I enjoyed it, and now it's one of my favorite, horror science fiction films. It's not, in my top 10, but I do enjoy it for what it's presenting. So that's what we know about the Alien TV series. So that is going to do it for today's horror news update on the Alien Earth TV series coming to Hulu at some point, and hopefully at some point we will get a full true trailer to give us some insights on what this is going to be about. And hopefully soon we will also get dates and the total number of episodes. I'm hoping it's more than 8, at least 10 I'm hoping for, but we'll have to wait and see. So that's going to do it. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Are you interested in the Alien TV series? Are you an Alien fan? Are you looking forward to this? And if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And to all my existing and new subscribers, thank you very much. Your support is greatly appreciated, and we will see you at the next one. Peace.